All right. Hi. Hi. And welcome to Twist Tea. This is where we talk about all things scoliosis, scoliosis related, lifestyle, etc. I'm Faye Viviana.
And I'm Caroline Patz.
And we are your Scoly besties.
We're in it with you for sure.
Yes. So today's episode, we are actually talking about your wedding.
Yes, I just got married about, I guess, almost 2 months ago.
That was already 2 months ago?
Yeah. It's
my
kind of
gosh.
weird. I think it's getting to the point where I need to take off the just married decal off my car.
Nah, I think you can actually leave that.
Every time I think about taking it off, somebody's like, congratulations. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll keep it. I'll keep
Plus,
it.
you don't know how many tickets and stuff you might have gotten out of it.
It's true. I think it gets you out of a lot. a lot of bad parts. So
So as a really quick reminder, we are just your Scully besties. We are not medical professionals. We are not doctors. And anything that we talk about is based on our own experience. And we would advise very strongly that you do not pursue anything without the advice of a medical professional.
always
Please.
talk to a medical professional.
Don't be stupid. And then don't blame us if you are stupid. Okay, great.
Good call. Good call.
So,
Before we get into it, how's your back feeling today?
today I'm actually a little bit achy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sleep as well as I wanted to, so I woke up a little bit stiff. My lower
Creaky.
back's a little crunchy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also PMSing, so that could be part of it too.
Ooh.
Sometimes it just gets locked up.
Yeah.
But I don't have upper back pain today, so that's nice.
Oh, that's good. That's really nice.
How are you feeling today?
Kind of similar. My hips have been really weird lately.
Oh.
I don't know what's going on. I think I'm having some lower back things happening, and so I've been doing a lot with my physical therapy. I've been trying to just open up some space in my lower back and hip area, and that's helping. But yeah, feeling pretty good. I would give myself a B today.
Oh.
That's great.
That's pretty good.
That's great. We'll see how
Yeah.
I'm feeling at the end of this with our stools.
Yeah, with our stools. One day we will upgrade our seating.
We'll have actual ergonomic seating, good for girls with scoliosis.
Yeah. No, when I moved to this place, I was gonna sell this. I had it listed on Facebook Marketplace, and then nobody bought it, and I was like, oh, it's a
All right, I
sign.
guess we'll keep it.
I'll keep it a little bit longer. But yeah, sitting on stools with no back, and I think it's actually the angle of
Yeah.
this. If we had little things to put our feet.
For our feet, yeah. Because
Yeah.
then we just have to hold down here, but that's all right. That'll give us a nice little time limit.
Yes.
We'll be effective
We'll
and
be-
efficient.
Because they'll be like, oh my god.
All right, we gotta get out of here.
Yeah. But we will try to sit up as straight as
Yes,
possible.
engage the core. Engage the core.
So that we don't injure ourselves on this episode today.
Yes, that'd be good.
So tell us about, and you wrote a really beautiful essay about it too. Tell us about what you did for prep for your wedding.
So yeah, going into the wedding planning process, I knew I really wanted to take care of my back. That was one of my main priorities. I know for a lot of brides out there, you want to feel your best on your wedding day, whatever that means to you. If that means you want to shed some pounds, you want to have clear skin, you want to, you just want to be feeling your most beautiful, aligned self. And for us, it's I would literally like to feel aligned in my body.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of big moments or big deal days where actually when I think back on it, one of the first things I think about is how much my back hurt that day, and it kind of sucks away some of the magic of the day. If you're really not feeling yourself and you're not feeling in your body, it can mess with the mood and mess with the vibe.
And there's, I don't know the name of the research exactly, but I've read it a couple different places where they said that our brains actually remember like high emotional, negative, painful things clearer over time than the happy ones, right?
That would make a lot of sense, like just evolutionarily.
Yeah, because it's like to protect us from more danger and more pain.
Don't want to do that again.
But the problem with that is if you're a chronic pain girly, then some of your really happy moments over time are foreshadowed or overshadowed by a painful memory of your body hurting or your back hurting.
And sometimes like I'll think back on it and it's like I'll still remember the good that happened, but then I'll just also be like, it kind of goes into your muscle memory literally of like, oh, I felt like a block that day. I felt rigid. And for me, when I feel the most beautiful is when I feel the most fluid. Is when I feel very like, that doesn't hurt me. You know,
I can just move.
I can
today.
just be here, and you can be in any position and just be comfortable. And I know that I'm never going to be completely pain-free and completely fluid in my movements because I have literal rods and screws along my spine. But I knew for wedding prep, my number one thing was not diet or exercise in the like having to look a certain way. It was more like diet and exercise and having to feel a certain way. And so I kind of broke up the wedding prep journey into like 3 stages. The first one is a long stage of like the 6 to 8 months of like planning the wedding. And that's what took the most energy. And then the second phase of the travel week, because it was going to be a road trip. I'm going to be staying in hotels, staying in foreign beds, you know, and then of course there's like the day of prep of like, how am I going to be feeling my best self?
I think road trips, just the sitting for that long is so hard. I mean, that's hard on totally non-scoliosis spines, right? So I feel like every time I've been on a road trip, I am like messed up for a good few days.
Seriously.
At least.
Yeah, you have to have kind of like a game plan going into it. And then if you're going on a road trip and then sleeping in a hotel that night, and I feel like hotel mattresses and pillows are either like the best
or the worst.
And you're like, I don't know which one is gonna be. So I just really wanted to make sure that I was taking care of myself in each of those phases. And definitely the phase 1 was the big one, because that was like the 6 to 8 months of actually planning the wedding and just getting my brain and body on the same page.
So what did you do for phase 1?
Phase 1 was extensive. There was a lot going into it. And actually, I feel like it was a big chunk of my wedding budget actually went into this, because I was doing acupuncture twice a week, doing chiropractic adjustments 3 times a week, and then every day I was on the floor doing my back exercises, making sure that I was always taking care of my spine and strengthening it and letting it rest when it needed it, and just a lot of physical therapy. Really going into it. And especially because I went into the wedding planning process with like an acute, I don't know if the word injury is correct, but
with the hook coming off.
Yeah, with the
I think that qualifies as an injury.
Definitely something was wrong. So I had like a pinched nerve on my left side, on like the left hook, that happened last year back in like October, and my wedding was in July, by the way, for reference. And so back in October I got COVID and I had really bad body aches, and I just ended up so tense, and in that process at some point I like snagged a nerve on my left hook.
Ouch.
Yeah, it still bothers me, but there was a moment there, and when I say moment I mean like 5 months of like anything would hurt it. Like if I'm moving my neck, if I'm sneezing, if I am just trying to get out of bed, it pulled on my nerve here. And so that was like priority number one. Was like, I understand I'm gonna have achiness. I get that I'm gonna have some stuff along the curve, but that like acute pain, I really wanted to make sure it wasn't bothering me.
So how did all that go?
It went pretty well. It went pretty good. I was doing the like acupuncture, chiropractor adjustments, PT every day kind of stuff, but then that snaggy spot was still really bothering me, so I ended up going to the doctor and just getting a bunch of like cortisone shots, I guess.
Okay. Cortisone.
Yeah. No,
it
not
like
cortisol.
acutely decreases your inflammation.
Yeah, and the guy delivering it was actually a little disappointed with it, because normally you can get it right on the nerve and be able to inject it right there, and it kind of does this like cool little like muscle twitch, and then you can like see it relax. But he said because my nerve was on the hardware that I have installed, he couldn't get it. So he had to go around it. Okay. He had to go around it. And we didn't know for sure if that was actually going to work. But then about 2 weeks later, I sneezed and nothing happened. I like sneezed and I realized like, oh, that didn't like send a shrieking amount of pain through me. That's huge.
Yeah, that's a win.
Yeah, really big win. And I was so excited. And that was about a month before the wedding. And that held for a while. It's back now, unfortunately, not as strong as it was before, but I'm happy with that. I will take it. The like huge nerve pain was down. I wouldn't say it was gone, but it was down to like 2.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 on the pain scale,
and
1 to 10.
Are you gonna get that hook removed?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't want another surgery.
Right.
I really, really don't want another surgery, but at the same time, I also don't want to be dealing with that kind of pain.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is there, when you talk to the doctor, do they say there's anything you can do to try to like move the nerve? Or
yeah, it is like when I was talking to the physical therapist, you know, my main priority right now is strengthening my scapula and making sure that everything is just like in the right, instead of rounding like this, everything has to be back, and making sure my neck is in the right position. But anytime I slack on any of that, if I let myself get like a forward neck tilt or anything, I can already feel it.
So maybe that will help keep it in place.
Yeah, I just need to keep everything back, and then hopefully if I can keep everything in place, then the inflammation can go down, and then eventually the nerve can like slip off. This is all stuff I'm imagining in my head, by the way, because I can't actually see what's going on. Right. And it's also kind of a weird situation, because when most people have a pinched nerve, it's relatively straightforward, but because I have the hardware in there, it's kind of more confusing, and it's not really pinched, it's more like snagged, and it's kind of like, what's going on?
Well, that's why I'm wondering if they can't try to like manipulate it off of the snag.
That's
somehow.
what I want.
That's
what I really
without having to like cut it open.
Yeah.
Can they just like,
I'd
you know, like when they turn babies in the womb. I'm like, if you can rotate a baby, you could fix a nerve
right there. Yeah, just move it. I can feel it. I could, like, if I push back here, I'm like, I can feel that getting stuck on the hook. So let's just like,
interesting.
Let's just like move it. But I called my my surgeon who removed my right hook for, that's past episode. But I told him that I was having an issue, and he was like, oh, you want to get it out? I'll get it out right now. Like, come on in. We'll take it out if that's bothering you. And I was like, oh, okay, good to know that's an option. But like that, it's not really solving the like real problem, and I think strengthening everything would keep me okay. But if it continues or just like doesn't eventually stop, I think I will end up getting it removed. Just because it's not doing anything except for causing this issue. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you made it through phase 1.
Made it through phase 1.
And it was a success.
It was a success. I was probably feeling the best in my body that I've felt in a very long time.
Okay.
I even want to say ever, but that's dramatic. So,
we like drama here.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So it was, it took a lot of effort, a lot of energy of just that consistent practice of taking care of my back, which is probably the practice I should be doing all the time anyway. But now that we're after the wedding, I'm only doing 1 acupuncture a week and then 2 chiropractor adjustments. But before that, it was 2 acupunctures and 3 chiropractic adjustments.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And it was a lot of driving because I have to go far.
Right.
But it was worth it. It was worth it because I was feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what was phase 2?
So phase 2 was definitely my roughest phase.
Okay.
That one, I will say, I did not nail it. I did not. I knew going into it there were going to be a lot of challenges that were pretty much just me.
And this is travel week?
This was travel week. So this is driving 16 hours to get from Los Angeles to Denver, staying in a hotel, then staying in my in-laws' house where I'm sleeping on my fiance's childhood bed. And so I brought my pillow. I brought my like special pillow that I have for my neck, and I like kept that like a security blanket. But that was probably the hardest part, mainly because I knew for what I would need to do would be to be very diligent about my PT. And when I'm on other people's turf, I tend to like not take care of myself as much as I would if I was just at home. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, I'm at home, I have my situation, I've got my mat, I've got my little PT tools, you know. But because I was staying at my in-laws' place, it was like I felt high maintenance whenever I would have to like excuse myself to go do my physical therapy, and it's kind of funny because it's not coming from them at all. Like they would understand.
It's your own.
They're even like, do you need to go take care of your back? And I'm like, no.
You're like,
I'm fine. I'm okay. I don't even notice, you know? So that was probably the hardest part, was actually standing up for my own comfort. And like when something was uncomfortable, or just like when I was overextending myself, I didn't want anybody else to feel that. Right. So I tend to like, I was like, okay, I'll hold on to this discomfort for a little longer when I probably shouldn't have.
Just suffer a little more.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that sometimes when you've dealt with pain for a really long time, you do start to feel like the people closest to you are burdened by it to an extent. And so even though you know that they're also the most supportive, hopefully.
The best.
You know, and that they totally want you to do whatever it is you need to do. There is sometimes that hesitation of like, oh God, I just don't want to be that person. And it's like, I do think sometimes, it's so much easier to say this than do this, but to just like own it and be like, I am that person. Yeah. I am one high maintenance bitch and my back is a problem.
And I gotta go take care of it like an hour a day. And like what I would end up doing would be like, we were all hanging out around the dining room table or something and just talking, like not even doing anything really important. And I would just kind of like sneak away for like 15 minutes and I would go do something. And I'm a huge advocate for do something rather than nothing.
Absolutely.
Like I would, if you only have a few minutes to do one round of your exercises, like do that. Or even if you just like only have the brain power to do the bare minimum, like do the bare minimum. I am so an advocate for that, rather than just not doing anything. but like I could tell that my body needed more than what I was giving it. And I'm also a high maintenance girly in that like the whole it's a whole package of like me feeling okay in my body. It means I need to be getting really good sleep. I need to be doing my exercises. I need to be fueling my body in a way that feels wholesome and eating like really good food. And it was, I definitely just kind of ate that discomfort a little bit more than I wanted to, and that I promised myself that I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your rating on Phase 2?
Maybe I would give it like a B-.
Okay.
C+, perhaps.
Okay.
Because I did it.
Yeah.
I did it, but I definitely did the bare minimum of everything, and I let myself get a little sleep deprived sometimes. And like also there's so much to do. Like the week before the wedding is like probably one of the most like disorienting weeks of my life. Like you have so much to do, no matter how much prep you put into your planning, the week before is always going to be crunch time. So definitely a bit more uncomfortable going into like the actual wedding day than I wanted it to be.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, not great, but I did the bare minimum. Yeah, like what I'd say I did well was that I always did my bare minimum exercises. I did bring my travel like pillow with me, or my official pillow with me, and I did try to sleep. I did excuse myself from like family game nights and stuff to be like, all right, I'm gonna go take care of this because I need to.
And what pillow is it that you take with you?
It's a memory foam one that has a little like divot for my head, and then it has like extra support in the neck area.
Okay.
And then like little, I wish I knew like the actual.
Is it the one
brand?
From Bass?
Mm-mm.
No, it's a different one.
No, but I did bring that little neck pillow thing too.
Oh, that one.
Just for like keeping it aligned. But this one is just like a comfy sleep one, but it just has all of like the.
Oh, interesting. Because I have a sleep pillow that's from my chiropractor.
Ooh, I should get
Bass.
a sleep one.
Yeah, but it's got different. The thing that's a little annoying about it, although it's effective, is that it's a different shape for when you're on your back and when you're on your side. So I actually turn it in my sleep when I switch. But because I have a upper curve and my head's not straight, the difference of when I'm using it properly versus just like a random pillow is significant, because it kind of like forces my head to be at like the right angles.
Because oftentimes, because I'm a side sleeper, and so if I'm like sleeping on just like a regular pillow, my neck kind of does this. Yeah. So this one has like the curves in it to keep it.
Yeah, to kind of lift it up. Yeah, so that I also travel with mine, and I will often take like a big suitcase on like a day trip. Yeah. Because then I can fit my pillow in it.
I know, like I need to bring it on planes and stuff too, because it made a big difference. Yeah. Like I would say if I was just using their pillows, and like bless all of those little able-bodied people in my new family, they just like they have like the thinnest little like pancake pillows, and you're like that's cute. That's not gonna help me at all.
Well, in a pinch, I have rolled up my bath towels at hotels and stuffed them like tube wise, like into my, because you know how they're like the down ones that just like squish flat?
Completely flat,
and they're like,
they look so poofy,
and they feel really nice because they're so soft.
Yeah.
But then you start laying in them and you're like, oh, I'm gonna die tomorrow.
Yeah, completely.
So sometimes I'll like roll up a towel and put it inside on the neck part, and then
that's so smart. Yeah, okay, I will write that.
They do that in Japan, where in Japan a lot of times your pillow is just like a sack of grain. It's like a barley sack kind of thing. Yeah, and it's really small. And it's mostly to just sort of like support. Yeah. So sometimes it's almost like a cervical roll.
I know, I was like, that actually sounds very more than
it's more, well, and they also sleep on the floor, so it's. They have,
like, will that kill me or heal me?
Well, they have futons, so it's like a mattress pad that you fold out on the floor, and it's like a firm bedding. Like if you were
Yeah.
to take a bunch of comforters and kind of like squish them together.
Yeah.
So it's like both firm and kind
A
of
little
soft.
softer than the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in the winter you'll have like a really full duvet, and in the summer you'll just have like a little blanket or like a little sheet.
Yeah.
But they usually have those little tiny like,
Just like,
and they're kind of firm, so you like they kind of like mold to your head, and
Mhm.
they're like this. And I find that is yeah. So that's sort of where I got the idea from, was like if you just need to like add that lift, you can
just something to keep it from just like collapsing.
you can actually put it inside your pillow.
Another one that I was making sure I did was I would sleep with pillows like between my legs when I'm on my side.
That makes such a big difference.
Because if not, I'm just like twisting,
Yeah.
and then I wake up and I'm like, what?
Yeah. What is happening?
Yeah. And then I need to like spend some time in the morning just like
Yeah.
breaking myself again.
Okay, so then that was phase 2.
That was phase 2.
What was phase 3 like?
Phase 3 was day of, wedding day.
You were so beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. It was weird. It was the weirdest day of my life. Oh my god. Very surreal in like a beautiful, magical way, but definitely surreal. Phase 3, wedding day. I went into it with not a lot of sleep. I definitely pulled the bride card the night before and was like, all right, everybody, like, bridesmaids go out, I'm going to bed, I'm going to do a face mask, I'm going to do my exercises, and go to sleep early. And I mean, this one couldn't be helped. Like, you can do everything right, and then you try to lay down, and your brain just goes crazy because you're like, oh my god, I'm getting married tomorrow. Is this real? Is this happening? So I don't even know when I fell asleep. I'm guessing it was around like the 3 o'clock hour, just because my brain was just like going through it. So that's not even a bad thing. But when I woke up and I felt kind of stiff, but then I did exercises again. I did my foam roller. With the foam roller, my goal is really just to like bring movement back, to bring a little bit of that fluidity in. But then we like go to the venue, and what do? Sit on the floor. I'm like, time to eat breakfast on the floor. And it's like, I could be just sitting in like a chair or something with a back, but I'm like sitting on the floor, and in my head I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I should be taking care of this, but okay. And but feeling pretty good, I would say. Like, definitely a little sore, a little creaky, but for the most part, I think my really good prep in phase 1 is like holding off.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like holding me through this. But then when I did my hair and makeup, that's when things started to get...
Because you sit for a long time.
Yeah, you sit for a really long time, and you have to be in kind of like a specific position, and I think it took about 3 hours to do my hair, because I have all of this hair, and so we did this like really pretty like Rapunzel-like braid, and it just took forever because I have so much hair. And so by the end of that, I literally felt like a cylinder, like like a column, like a marble column was in my back, and did not feel pretty. This was like, this is what I was scared of. Like, thankfully the nerve spot on my left side was not an issue, but all of my classics were an issue, where it was like I just felt stiff, and I kind of had like not a freak out, but like I guess a mini freak out, where I was
think
like,
that on your wedding day you're allowed a little bit of a meltdown,
yeah,
a freak out,
oh,
or
I
a
had
moment
a
of
few. Yeah, we were just like, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I wanted. And thankfully, one of my bridesmaids was a massage therapist, and so she did like a little like up and down on my back, and I just was like, I just need a minute, and I like kind of excused myself from, because it was a really fun vibe. Like, we were all getting ready in the bridal cottage, and so all of the girls were there, and there's like makeup everywhere and perfume everywhere, and it's really cute, and I just like needed a moment to like excuse myself from it, and I just did some like twisting, and there's this one move called knocking on heaven's door where you just like stand. It's kind of like a Tai Chi move where you just stand and you just let yourself twist, and like your hands kind of like slap your butt as you're going back and forth. It's very simple, but it just
I also like that your butt is heaven's door.
Yeah,
like this is a really excellent door. Hey.
Hello. So I did that just to like bring the life back to it. But I was definitely a bit stiff, and then just like the nerves started getting to me of like, oh no, I'm feeling that tension, and so then that added to it. So then I had some like tea, and so taking a moment for myself, doing whatever twisting I could before I got in my dress, and just like having a little self-care moment, I think really did like save the day. Because there was a moment there where I was like, this is what I didn't want to feel like on my wedding day. And like I knew that a little bit of achiness was just gonna be a part of it.
Because it's also a very long day.
It's a very long day, yeah.
Because like most weddings are much longer than I think they're gonna be. And then I'm like, and you've been prepping for it like 8 hours before that part, right?
We got there at like 9 a.m.
Right.
And then the ceremony wasn't until 5:30.
And then the reception's not until you're there until like almost midnight, right?
Yeah, it was a long day.
That's a long day.
Yeah. So I would say I would give myself an A- because I could have sat in like a better place when I was eating breakfast, and like when we were just like lounging in the morning, like I could have taken care of myself and sat like at least in a chair with a back. But other than that, anything else couldn't have been helped. Like, no matter what, getting your hair and makeup done, like, there's not really anything else I could have done.
Yeah, and you can't really, like, you kind of have to sit for that.
Yeah,
and then after that, you can't really, like, lie down in the same way because you'll mess up your hair.
Exactly. Like, I wanted so badly to just, like, do, like, a downward dog or something, but it's like, my hair is not going to like that.
Yeah.
So,
and then once your dress is on... you really can't. Yeah, because I have never been married yet, but I have played a bride on TV, and I had to
Even
wear.
More fun.
It was fun, and I actually really liked my dress.
Yeah.
But it was like a 16-hour day, both days, and I never got to take the dress off, and I barely fit. The dress was so big, and I had a very small trailer. And I barely fit in the trailer.
What kind of dress was it? What cut was the dress?
It was like a tank top with lace, like V-neck. It was really pretty. It was really pretty. And it was like the easiest one to hide my back because for them, that was a little bit of an issue when I went to try them on. They were like, ooh.
What's going on here?
We can't do these buttons. And, I was like, oh. And I just remember that by the end, I was like almost bleeding underneath my armpits because as my ribs get more crooked, they get wider. And so, they like, for sets, in case people don't know, they put you in a costume. They usually size you up. It's kind of similar to how they fit actual bridal stuff. So they give you a dress that's like 1 or 2 sizes too big, and then they make it fit you, and they tailor it in. And they do this on many things, not just for dresses. But that's like a very common way for TV is that way they don't have to deal with stuff being too small. Yes. They just make it fit you. Yeah. Which is usually pretty lovely. However, when they fit you in the beginning of the day, you're one size, and then basically my ribs expand throughout the day. Yeah, so I remember by the time I took the thing off, I had like cuts under my armpit from the lace because my skin was pushing on the side. And they're pretty like wedding dresses are pretty like sturdy, which I mean they have to be because they're expensive, and it would be so horrible if they like unraveled on the day. But the seams are quite tight, and so I do remember that and being like, this would suck if this was my actual wedding day and it was this painful.
Oh, I know.
With the like edges of the seams and all that.
That was actually like a really big part of the wedding dress shopping day was like making sure it would be like, it was like this algorithm of like something that's comfortable, that kind of covers it up, that isn't too heavy. Because like I tried on this one dress that was gorgeous, and it was like honestly everything that I would have like pictured.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so heavy and completely stiff in here, which is like, okay, maybe the stiffness would help because it would keep it all together, right. Or I would just feel that like column like feeling. And we were like, okay, I don't want to just be lugging around this huge dress all day. So
and did you go into your dress fitting with a goal in mind about showing your spine, not showing? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, of course. It was a bit of a thought, I guess. Definitely, I'm not ashamed of my back, and everybody invited to the wedding knows about my back. They know I've had surgeries for it. They a lot of people don't even notice my curvature, which is, I think, a lie, but I'm like, no way, you can see that. But I wasn't really worried about it. And then when we were trying on the dresses, when I found the one that I ended up picking, I was in love with it. Like it was that moment where you zip it up and you're just like, wow. And you look in the mirror and you're like, is that me? Is that real? And you're so excited. But then I like turn around and my stepmom, bless her heart, she's so sweet. It was not meant to be mean, but she went, oh, but you can see your back in this one. And I was like, oh, is that okay? And she was like, yeah, but you can definitely see everything. And then it was like a body dysmorphia moment or something where like then I looked at myself in the dress and it felt different. Like all of a sudden when I looked to the side, when I like went to my right side, my curvature looked huge. And then because of the way like where it was cut, it kind of looked like back fat or something.
Like your rib like overhangs.
Yeah, it's like over.
That happens to me a lot.
Yeah, and you're like, that's not fat. And if it is fat, that's fine too. You know, like, but it's just kind of like your brain is like messing with you a little bit more. And then I have the scar down my back, and originally, you know, I was thinking of doing an updo or just kind of like a low bun or something, but then we were like, well, if I do a long braid, then it would cover up the majority of the scar. And so like my bridesmaids that were there at the fitting with me were really sweet and were like, no, your back looks great, your back looks great. But there was like a moment where I was like, should I care? Is it bad? Like, oh no, I forgot for a second that I need to care about that. And then when I was getting that dress fitted, the seamstress actually, her niece has scoliosis, and so she was really sweet about it. And she was like, oh, we just need to do this with the zipper. And they actually did this fun thing where because I didn't realize that when you get your wedding dress fitted, it's so expensive, by the way. It's like, I thought it was going to be like $300 or something. It's like as expensive as the dress, because what they do is they take apart the dress and put it back together as like exactly to your measurements, which I didn't realize. I thought they just were like, okay, we'll bring it in here, I
mean, it probably depends on who you go to.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the one you went to, like, obviously that's going to fit much better than if they just like hem it.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be like a hemming or something, but they take it apart and put it back together again. And
that's cool.
What they did is so if you were just looking at my dress, not on a body, the zipper is at a diagonal.
Yeah.
Because on me, it's straight.
Yep.
And I thought that was like so cool.
It is cool.
I was like, that is so clever. I had no idea, because when I was first trying it on, before it was hemmed to me, or before it was fitted, you can tell that the zipper was going at an angle. And like then it wasn't like the middle of the back, like the U. I don't know how, I wish I knew all of the terms to use, but the U in the cut of the dress was like
over there
to the side. And so then they had to, once they did the diagonal zipper, then that like created the illusion that it was in the middle of my back, which I thought was cool.
It is cool. I've mostly had the opposite. So when I was a ballet dancer, you know, most of the costumes are corsets, right? And every time I'd get fitted by a new girl who didn't know me yet and know my back yet, they would be like, "Oh God, something's wrong with this costume," because they would be like doing the hooks, and they would all go over to the side, and they would start. You could feel them like start to, and I'd have to be like, "No, it's okay, it's me, it's just me," and they'd be like, "Oh, okay." Like I thought we were gonna have to like trash this tutu, and I was like, "No, that's
not trash the tutu.
Not trash the tutu. The tutu is fine. Like it's totally fine." And sometimes what they would do is they would add like a little extra side panel.
Yeah.
So that it would like hook onto that instead of the original ones, and it would just like even it out.
So smart. It's so cool. It's like such a simple fix.
Yeah.
Simple practical fix, and then when it's on, you're like, oh.
Yeah, and then it looks like
and
centered.
it gives like the illusion, and it kind of made me feel more centered too. And so it ended up fitting super well, and I was really, really happy with the dress. It was very comfortable. I ended up going with like a lighter gown than that heavy one, and like that was also nice because I got married in July, so you want it to be you don't want to be like overheating, but I would say my dress fit like a glove. It was really, really comfortable.
That's good.
And I felt really beautiful. Oh,
you were beautiful.
Thank you so much. We'll insert pictures.
Hold on while I choke on my water.
Oh
no. Yes. No, you were totally beautiful. It was very like enchanted forest.
The official theme was Enchanted Fairy Garden Party.
It was exactly that. That was exactly. I was like, I'm not making the right words. Yes, it was. You nailed it. That was executed to perfection, and it was so gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah. It really was a beautiful day, a weird day, but very like everything. I felt like everything that I had power over, I had control over, like. I did my best. I did my best, and I felt really good, and it's that thing where now when I think back on my wedding day, the first thing I think about is how loved I felt. I felt all of the love and support. I remember looking at my husband when we were doing our vows. I remember what my flowers looked like, and way down the list I can remember, oh, my back kind of hurt, but like it's not the first thing. Like I really do have a lot of memories where just the first connotation, not even the first thing I think about, just the first thing I feel in my body is the stiffness, and that is not how I feel about my wedding day. So I'm gonna give it an A+.
I would say that's a win.
That's a win.
That's a big win.
Yeah, for Scoliosis Girlie, who I've had so many things ruined by just like my back just hurting. I'm very happy with that.
Did you have to plan like what shoes and when? Does that affect your back?
Oh yeah, the shoes. I wore the most practical, boring shoes.
Okay.
Not fancy shoes. They had an 1.5-inch heel.
Okay.
Very, very practical because I just like.
Well, your dress was really long too, so it's not like you.
I was like, you can't really see it anyway. So I was like, I'm not gonna add to this by like having painful feet that just. And you know how everything's just connected. So it's like when your feet hurt, then you're like... So.
Well, and sometimes, like, I love high heels, but sometimes if I haven't, like, done my core or my exercises that day and I throw on heels, I, like, really mess up.
Yeah, it kind of throws off your
or I'm like lean into it or something. I do something and it's like the next day I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So that's why I was curious.
No, mine were so practical. Like, I wouldn't say they were ugly, but they were not anything special.
That's okay.
But nobody knows.
I don't even remember them.
Yeah, exactly. Because you didn't see them.
You didn't see them. You really didn't see them.
Yeah, so I would say practical shoes are probably a good idea for a scoliosis girly.
Okay.
Getting married.
Yeah. I do want to make like an orthotic high heel. I think it would be like, and so I know that they make like lower heels and they have like soft insoles, but that's not what I want to do.
No.
I actually want to do one that keeps your toes in a healthier alignment and your arch.
Oh my God.
Because I feel like what messes me up is that like when your feet get all squished.
Yeah.
Because like when I wear a toe spacer inside my high heel boots, I'm fine. It would not fine
this
after
would
a
make
certain
you like
amount
a
of hours.
feminist queen.
But I'm like, this has got to be possible.
Yeah.
But I would love to like have one where like, because I know that for some people like the height of the heel itself is what causes some issues. So there would be obviously different levels of the heels. I love a high heel.
Yeah.
But the thing is the alignment that some of them, they just like let you do weird things.
Yeah, it lets your feet kind of fall in.
And there's no
out.
support. And I'm like, it's possible, it's just ugly, right? Like when I put a toe spacer in, if I have like, if it goes down too low, you can see it.
Yeah.
And it just looks like garbage. And usually the shoe's not wide enough for that. But I'm like, there's gotta be a way.
Yeah. That would be incredible because I just was like, that's not even my fight to fight. I'm not
and like where your weight falls on the heel and like if you can put enough support underneath your arch so that you can like stand on your foot.
Oh, arch support is like there's like I've never seen a fancy heel with like arch support.
And I don't know why.
We gotta get into designing.
I'm like, I feel like this could be fixed.
It would be a game changer. And like that would be something that would just be good for people with backs.
Just people with spines
if you
in
have
general.
a spine, this was gonna be great.
Yeah, because I feel like everything they make is just like a lower heel and a softer insole and it's like comfortable. And that's great. I'm all for comfort.
And that's what I went with. It was a low heel and it was a squishy insole.
Yeah. But sometimes the low heel also hurts me because I can't move my foot right when I walk. I don't know.
That's true.
That might just be a me problem.
Yeah, you're just kind of like...
But I get a little like penguiny and then that, it's like changes my gait of my walk. Yeah. And then that will hurt my back. I mean...
So many things to think about.
I feel like scoliosis is like the canary in the mine.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So... your back will respond if your emotions are messed up, if your immune system is under stress. Like if you're fighting with your friend, like your back will respond to like any negative input. It'll be the first thing to be like, nope.
That's why, that's exactly it. Canary in the coal mine, because I feel like there was so many tabs open in my mind of like, I need to be taking care of everything, not just like doing my back exercises. Obviously do your back exercises, but like I need to be sleeping well, I need to be eating well, I need to be in like a mindful, graceful place, or else anything is going to throw me out, which is why the travel week was the hardest week for me, because
you're like holding it all that day.
And it was like mentally, like of course physically there were the challenges of the traveling and the hotels and the other mattresses, but really it was my own mind getting in my own way. And like any of the stress of that week, it was like my back is gonna go. If I don't take care of this, it's gonna just hurt.
And sometimes there's a lot of dread involved because you're just anticipating, oh my god, if it does start to hurt,
that too,
I am so doomed. Like, because there's that like point of no return where you become the needy person who is a problem, or that's how it feels.
That's what you feel like.
But yeah, like I totally can relate to how sometimes that itself is the issue, because you're like so afraid of triggering the pain that you like don't
like. Wouldn't it be great if I just didn't have that worry?
Yeah,
like I definitely had those moments where I was just kind of jealous of the brides who don't have to think about all of this stuff.
I think that all the time. I mean, I think trying on clothes, period, I'm always jealous of the people who I'm like, you get to just buy an Empire waist, don't you?
No worries, huh?
Oh, you can just wear that cinched middle thing. Like, all the people who can put the belts on their waist, I'm always so jealous.
You don't know what you have.
I'm like when I try to, like, and there's certain patterns, like horizontal stripes, not my friend, because they like an accordion on me. Or like I'll put a belt on and it just like, it can't be level. There's actually not space on my body for it to, unless it's not tight. And it's just there.
Then there's no point to it.
Doesn't cinch anything.
Yeah.
doesn't tuck anything, doesn't hold the fabric. It's just there. And at that point, you might as well just wear a utility belt.
Yeah,
and call it a
literally.
day. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's just another like mentally taxing thing. Like I when going into the planning process, like I knew I had to allot for it, and I'm grateful that I knew that it's like, okay, I'm actually like, when you are planning a wedding or any kind of big event, there are so many things to think about. There are so many moving parts. But then when you have scoliosis or any insert chronic pain issue, that's just another tab that you have to have open and another thing you need to be thinking about. And because ours is a canary in the coal mine, it is a part of everything.
Yeah.
It's like, it's involved in everything that I do. Even when we're planning our seating chart, I need to sit correctly. I need to make sure that I'm taking care of myself so I can take care of this. It's like always comes back to like, I need to take care of this first, and then I can.
Yeah, because once the canary dies, that's so dark.
Screams? The canary.
Do they scream or do they just die?
I think they just die.
Ooh. Okay. Ooh. That's dark. But once that trigger happens, your like whole world becomes about managing the trigger, and then that can take away from something that's really important to you in that moment. So yeah, I definitely can see how that would be a lot. So now that you're on the other side of the wedding, how's everything feeling?
Feeling pretty good. The nervy pain came back like a week later.
Okay.
But because the stress after the wedding was insane. And then this has nothing to do with the wedding anymore, but like my husband broke his foot at the wedding.
It was pretty epic, I was there.
It was broke his foot, he did a backflip, and I was like, hey, maybe do the backflip on the grass. And he was like, no, I'll break my ankle if I do that. And
then he broke his foot.
So he did it on the cement dance floor in his dad's shoes, which are completely wooden soled. And so he snapped his calcaneus. And so then it went right into like a new stress cycle of like, we had to end, this is now just a different story, but like we had to end the wedding early. We went to the emergency room. I was in my wedding dress in the emergency room, which is a thing I will always remember. But then it went right into taking care of Michael, my husband, because that was a lot. And so I was taking care of, like, I was packing the car. I was like, I'll carry everything. Yeah. I was like having to call the doctors and like just dealing with insurance. It was so much stress. And then we had to drive home, and then my back just freaking just squished up. And like, so then a week later I sneezed. I guess my sneezing is my canary.
Yes.
Where I'm like, oh no. Because I sneezed and I felt it like pull again, and I was like, no, I was so close.
I want to insert that meme. There's two. One is about how when you get older, like sneezing is like one of the most dangerous things you can do.
So dangerous.
And the other one is what the predator sees when they're chasing me, and it's like the Bengay things.
Yeah.
It's like the person's pain.
Yeah.
We'll put it on
oh
there.
my god, yes.
But that's what I always think about that, where I'm like, that's what it's like.
Their heat response or whatever. The heat. What is it called? Heat map?
Yeah. And it's just like the person like, ah.
Oh, and then the predator's like, oh, poor thing.
Yeah, they're like, that one's not doing well, don't eat it. That's pretty much.
Yeah, too much stress in that body. Yeah, I will say that like the overall routines I've tried to stick to, like I'm still doing acupuncture and chiro, even on like a lesser scale, and that is helpful. And I just think that like that almost full year of doing that so consistently has kept me in a pretty good place. So even though the week after the wedding I was not feeling good, I was able to bounce back, I think, a little bit faster than if I hadn't been carrying.
Yeah.
If like I never worried about any of it, I think I would be in a much
worst position. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every
definitely.
little bit does count. Like what you said earlier about, like, do whatever you can do. Like, if it's 2 minutes, do the 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That is so true. And it's so easy to forget. Like, I'm really bad about making that time. Like, when I'm in that frazzled, like, I don't have to have my last.
Where a lot of us are like all or nothing.
Yeah. And, like, that is so detrimental in the long term.
Yeah.
Because weeks will go by and you will have done nothing. Except stuff that hurts you.
Yeah.
That you'll do a lot
We'll
of.
always find time for that.
You know, and like sometimes like I'll sit on the couch and I'll be like, oh, I can't sit like this. And then like I won't do anything to counteract it. I'll just be like, oh, this hurts. And then I'm like, why am I still doing it? Right? Like it's such a weird, like, so that like understanding of like I could undo some of this discomfort in 2 minutes.
Yes.
Of just moving my body into a different position that like supports or stretches or releases
Opens
or
up.
Yeah. Instead of just being like ow and then just sticking
Stay there.
Like the thing about putting the pillow between your knees, right?
Yeah.
It makes such a difference. And there's times where like, I don't know, I'm tired,
Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, and I'm like, ah. And then in the middle of the night I will wake up because I'm like crossing my legs so hard. I'm like flexing my muscles again, and I will like wake up from like the tension in my legs, and I'm like, oh, that's why we put the pillow between our knees, because otherwise I don't have like a reminder of like a supported, relaxed. So it's almost like my body tries to like, I don't know, I think it's helping, or it thinks it's helping, and it's just making it much more painful, but it's such a small thing. Yeah. And it makes such a big difference.
Makes such a big difference, truly. And I will say, like, I was kind of beating myself up for only doing, like, my bare minimum during the travel week. But at the same time, it's like, I did the bare minimum, and that made a big difference.
That's really awesome. Yeah, I think that bare minimum is way more important than people realize.
Yes.
And there was something that
it gets such a bad rep.
Yeah.
But I love a bare minimum.
There was a concept that I heard a couple years back, which really stuck with me, which is that sometimes when you're trying to make a big change in something, you want to do the smallest amount possible as like friction free as possible.
Yeah.
So that you do it as long as possible. But instead of being like, I want to do this giant thing and trying to take big giant bites.
Yeah.
And then you either burn out or get overwhelmed or it's stressful or it's too much. But if you just go like, I have this huge giant thing and I'm going to do the smallest piece possible, but I'm going to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And that over time, because you keep doing it, compounds to something really positive. And that's really hard for me. I tend to want to be all or nothing too.
Yeah. But, no, I think that if I had, like, if I were to do everything, all of my tools to take care of my back, it would be like an hour and a half every day of just focusing on my back. And some days I have that in me. Some days I'm like, yeah, let's keep going, you know. But then some days, like, just knowing I have an hour and a half in front of me is like, I'm not going to do that. But then if I'm like, I'll make that smaller. Oh, make that smaller. It's like still an hour, too much time. 20 minutes? Maybe. I can do 20 minutes. 20 minutes is good. 10 minutes is good. And sometimes that's like literally like, I'm just going to be on the floor for 1 minute. And then oftentimes, that's why I actually love the bare minimum, is oftentimes I'm like, okay, I'll do 2 minutes. And then I start, and then I'm like, okay, I can keep going. And then I end up doing a little bit more. Yeah. But that is like a big part of my life philosophy. Love a bare minimum.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still working on that, definitely. But yeah, I mean, because I am getting ready to get a new back brace. And so I'm doing a lot of mobility stuff, which is great. It's pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I kind of jumped into it like full force, which is very me. And
so you.
And it was like really uncomfortable. And there was a couple days, and I jumped into it full force in the middle of a breakup. So I was emotionally not prepared, physically not prepared.
Canary is dead.
Yeah, the canary was like electrocuted and like anyway. So I'm just sitting there like I'm sad and I'm hurting and but the thing is, like, if I did every tool like you said, I think that the routine for my back would be almost 5 hours a day. And it's like it's so much. And so sometimes I feel bad because I do 2 hours. I do an hour of physical therapy, and then it takes about an hour to do one round of all the new mobility stuff for my new brace.
Dang.
And I'm supposed to do it 2 to 3 times a day, which would make it 4 hours.
So this is my whole job.
And then if I like want to go to the gym or go to yoga or like actually exercise, that's a 5th hour. So it's a lot, right? Yeah. And then if I add in a chiropractic appointment, that's the driving, it's the appointment, right? And so there's days where I'm like, is this all I do?
Yeah, is my full-time job just taking care of my spine?
Like, I have a production company, I have auditions, I have stuff I gotta write. I have dreams. I have deadlines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can I work sideways while I lie on this thing? And like, you can't really, because it's uncomfortable and... You know, and so I think that, like, making peace with, like, I did one full round, which is kind of the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But, like, sometimes that's all I can do that day.
Yeah.
And it's still better than not doing it. And, you know, I do struggle with it because I am hard on myself about it. But then I went to the chiropractor this morning, and he actually was like, oh, this is better than last week. And I was like, ha! Yay!
Yeah.
It's working, even though I didn't do what I really wanted, my perfect world. But like, none of our lives are perfect.
No,
right?
If I were to do everything, like the amount of reps and the amount of like times you go through it, it really will take such a long time. And like, that's a great goal to have. And I think that this is going to fall sturdily into the like, listen to your doctor, listen to your medical professional. This is just like my experience of that, is if I every day go into like, I need to do everything that I've been told I need to do, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through it once. I'm going to go through it twice. Yeah. And then I'll do it. And like, that makes a huge difference. Yeah. And it's like, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I mean, we should try to see if we can find a publication that's researched this. But I remember when I was younger, my orthopedic surgeon was very anti-physical therapy, anti-yoga, anti-Pilates, anti-anything.
Yeah.
And his reasoning for that, what he told my mom, was not so much, well, he was like, well, there's no data that shows, you know, because there wasn't a study published about it at that time. I'm sure now there's probably something. We'll try to find that for you guys. But what he said, his main reason was that the kids won't do it, and then they'll end up feeling like a failure. And I think that there's a lot to be said about that being true in an element. I don't think that that's a reason to tell someone to not do it.
Yeah.
I don't think I would go that far. I'd be like, okay, your emotional state and feeling like a failure versus the benefits of doing it sometimes, I go like, I think it outweighs it. However, so that's a difference of opinion I have from him. But I do understand that, like, when you have this idea of like, oh, well, I have to do 5 hours. I have to do an hour and a half. And it's like,
oh my God, 5 hours?
Like, it's a lot.
That's a lot.
Or like, I remember when I was a kid, I had different, you know, we didn't listen to him, and we tried to do some therapies and stuff anyway. And a lot of them did actually help. Especially with pain management, because I was so active with dancing. But like, you know, I did have guilt about not doing it. I did resist it a lot. I didn't want to do my exercises every day. But then when I did do them, they would help. So I understand that, like, it is a decision you have to consider, or an element you have to consider in your decision making.
Yeah.
Of, you know, your mindset about it is half of what you're battling.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
so well put.
It's not just, oh, I have a physical thing that I'm dealing with. It's like, I have a mental issue I have to also consider because I'm dealing with this physical thing, and they're not.
It's a relationship.
Yeah, they are not separate.
Yeah.
And you can't pretend like they are. And I think that that's something that, although I disagreed with his conclusion about it.
So ergo, don't even try.
Right. Like, I go like, well, that's pretty defeatist.
Yeah.
But I also go like, on the flip side, if you're like a parent and if your kid has gotten a physical therapy routine and they're frustrated and it's uncomfortable or it hurts or they're tired, because sometimes it's exhausting because they're using really weak muscles or they're pushing a part of your body that's like not done that before, and it can be draining in a way that is not like a regular workout. So they might really resist it, right? And if you were to like berate them and guilt trip them or like scold or punish them for not doing it, I mean, God, that sounds so harsh, but like in the effort to help them, right? There's so many parents I've seen as a dance coach where I'm like, you're not helping, but their intention is good.
Yeah,
it's
their
just
intention is to help.
Coming out not in a healthy way. And it's like, if you put that kind of pressure on a child or a teenager, the repercussions could be really negative, right? And you could end up, like in my case, it wasn't to physical therapy or my parents, it was to the surgeon who I, had a very bad reaction to at 16. But the result of that was that I just ignored it for a decade until it was such a big problem. That's not it either, right? Like, and so I do understand like what he was concerned about. But I think as long as the people around you and you are like, okay, there's going to be days that I really don't want to look at this.
Yes, it can be so confronting.
Yeah, and I think that that's not talked about enough. And I'm sure that's the case in many different types of illnesses, especially ones that have no end in sight. But I think managing your mindset about it is actually a huge part of your treatment of... Yeah. And finding a way to give yourself the right mindset so you can do the bare minimum.
And like find that grace in it. Oh my gosh. Yes, I feel like all of that sums up exactly how I've been feeling. And why I'm so grateful that I did think about it before the wedding. And again, like, you can insert any big thing you have going on, anything that you're planning that you're like, this needs to go well. You want to feel good.
And like your exams at school or...
if you have a performance, you want to feel good. You want to feel in your body. And I spent so much of my early 20s completely dissociated from my body because whenever I would go in there, it hurt. So I had to go. And I think that that's a fair reaction, especially for a young person who didn't know what was going on. But if I had done that in my lead up to the wedding, I would be in a very different mental state. I think I would have just been like scrunched up and miserable and angry and bitter and all of those things.
It really changes your like mood and your mental health. Like that
bitter is the word. Like when I said bitter, I was like, that's the word.
Because you're angry. You're like, why is this happening to me? It hurts, right? Like
this isn't how everybody else feels.
And it can be really hard not to get that resentment little monster. Because when you're in that much pain and you don't have a way out, or you can't see a way out in that moment, it feels unfair.
And I mentioned I did have that moment. Like, I love the imagery of like a little resentment monster where it's like, other brides don't have to worry about this. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That sucks. But it's like, we can have the resentment monster, but it's like, okay, let's keep her small, keep her in the back seat maybe. Like, at least the resentment monster wasn't in the front seat or in the driver's seat calling the shots, like it was manageable.
Well, and I think that a big way to help keep the resentment monster at a manageable size
I get what you're trying to say
is the acknowledgement of like, it's not fair, and nobody's telling you it has to feel fair. Like, it's okay to be upset about your situation. You don't want to take that with you as how you carry yourself forward in life, because your life will suffer for it. That's a choice that's not going to lead to as empowering of an outcome. But pretending that you don't hurt, or pretending that you're fine, or pretending that it's not unfair, or pretending that you don't have it, I think is when it gets like
it gets really loud.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you will hear me, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess like in summary, I would say like this is probably the biggest lesson going into this kind of situation is just having that mental awareness and relationship with your pain and relationship with that resentment monster. Like that's what we're taking care of, and we're going to take care of the physical body as well. And so if you have something big going on, if you can do acupuncture, if you can do chiropractor work, I never know what to say, chiropractic stuff.
Treatments.
Go to the chiropractor. If you can get massages, you know, like that's all great. But at the very minimum, take care of your brain, take care of your emotions, and take care of your core, because you don't need to go to anybody professional to do that. You could just do some core work on the ground and do your physical therapy, because that one doesn't cost me money now. Like I went to the physical therapist, and then they give you the exercises, and then I can do those every day, and that makes a huge difference. And so it's like just take care of those, like find out your minimums that work for you and be really loyal to them. Be very disciplined to them.
And I would add on, because I think that this is sort of what I take away from your story, is plan realistically.
Yeah.
Because you really planned ahead knowing what you would need. Not being like in Delulu Fantasyland about like, I'm going to magically not need all these things. You actually were like, I'm going to need all these things. And I'm going to plan for them accordingly. I think that was so smart.
Like this is a challenge I'm going to have in this area. Yeah. I think, thank you.
You did good.
Yeah. I definitely, it's like not a problem or a challenge that I wanted to have, but it was, you know, you have to be realistic about it. And I would say it was successful. Not a 10 out of 10, but I'll take the fact that I don't think about my pain. My first image of my wedding day is looking at my husband's eyes, not, oh no, my back hurts. You know,
you're like, number 1, back pain.
Ouch.
Number 2, there was a guy there somewhere.
I don't know what he was doing. Yeah.
Oh, him?
Exactly.
Oh, well, I'm proud of you. I think it's a really big win, and you should celebrate it, especially now that you're 2 months out.
I know, oh my God.
And you can breathe.
So
so big congratulations to you.
Thank
and it was
you.
a beautiful wedding. She was stunning.
Thank you for being there. She was stunning too. Oh my God.
I danced my butt off.
Yes.
I looked like such a fool.
No, we have some really amazing pictures of you on the dance floor. I'll send you some.
Oh God,
They're
I
great.
don't know.
No, and then just Rachel next to you. It's just like
me and our other friend Rachel went together as like the 2 insane people who just danced the
These
whole
are my
time.
actor friends.
Yes, we took it upon ourselves to keep the dance floor popping.
Thank you.
And it was both fun and embarrassing at the same time. It was great.
Those are the best nights.
Yeah. But thank you for having us come and be part of it.
Oh my gosh, thank you for
So
being
much
there.
fun. So that's our episode
Yes,
for
thank
today.
you.
And if you want to ask about a certain topic, or if you have a question that you want us to answer.
Yeah. If you're planning a wedding.
Yeah, if you're planning a wedding.
Have any questions? I've got lots
If
of
you're
opinions.
a Scully girly trying to find a dress, tag us on socials.
Yes. That would be so fun. I want to see what dress you're wearing.
Yes. And we always want to hear your stories. We would love to just get to know the community of all of our Scully besties out there.
It can be so validating just to hear somebody else dealing with a similar thing.
And just to know that you're not alone. And, you know, if you're a surgery kid, if you're a back brace kid, if you just found out you got it, if you're older and you're like, oh, this explains so much about why my back always hurt, you know, like, there was a woman at the clinic the first time I went next to me who was like in her late 60s and she had just been diagnosed. And like, you know, it just answered a lot of questions for her, you know, so don't feel weird reaching out. You can always contact us and we will do our best to reply or
We would be so excited.
yeah, we'd be so excited to hear
We
from
would be
you.
so excited.
But we'd also do our best to reply, and if we feel like we have something worth talking about, to actually talk about that topic on an episode. So thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you.
And always, you can ask us questions. We will put a email for you to use in the either show notes or description box, depending on where you're looking at this. And thank you so much for being part of our little Scully community.
Thank you.